might have been already earlier and heard some absolutely fantastic speeches on how we tackle and need to tackle the climate and environmental crisis that we're in. We're now here at the COP26 reception, and thank you very much for our partners, WWF and the Green Alliance, for supporting this event. And we wouldn't be able to do that without their support. So thank you very much for that. I'm Jake Sutton. I'm one of the co-chairs of SERA, Ladies Environment Campaign, and that's the social society that's focused on climate and the environment. Please join us if you haven't done so already. We always want more members, and that means we can do more like this every year, more activity, and we've got a whole host of events tonight as well. So we're having this reception today, and because we know that we're at Code Red for humanity and for our planet. In a matter of weeks, we've got the global climate talks, COP26. And we know so much rests on this, and we've heard a lot of it today. We had a great question time earlier at lunchtime. But it's our last chance. I did actually write our best last chance in some of our tweets, and actually Darren Jones said, no, I think it's our last chance today, and I think he's probably right. And that's to secure the agreements and the action that we need to have a chance of halting runaway temperatures. But we know we're in a difficult place because, you know, we want the government to do well. It has to do well. It's for our future too. But the boosterism, it's dangerous because it's saying, you know, we've done the best. We're all fine. You know, we're doing so much more than everyone else. And we know that that's not true. And we know that our greenhouse is not in order, if you will. And there aren't sufficient political plans in place to reach our targets. And the decisions are being taken that fly in the face of that opening the agreement we're seeking to. So we're going to hear a few remarks from some real experts, and Ed Miliband, the shadow president of COP, and also the shadow BEIS secretary in a few moments. But first of all, we're going to hear from Sean Spears, and he is the executive director of Green Alliance. Sean, over to you.
Thanks, Jake. I'm not sure how to take that. We're going to hear from the experts, but first of all, we're going to hear from... Don't worry. So, look, the title of the event is Securing Our Future, and that, of course, is what COP26 is about. We all know, everybody in this room knows how important, has known for years how important climate action is and how important this particular COP is. But I think that awareness is now rising across the country, certainly across political parties. This week's been extraordinary for the number of fringe meetings on the issue of climate and the environment. Annalisa Dodds in SERA round we just had pointed out the importance of the climate issue in the German elections we've just seen, and I just think it's going to get more and more prominent. And of course, everybody recognises that the UK government has got some very strong ambitions, and everybody also recognises that there's a shortfall in action, and that's where the role of the Labour Party and the opposition, Ed and his colleagues, is just so important. Local authorities, metro mayors, Welsh government, etc., can put a lot into, can take action in a lot of these areas, but the role of the official opposition in holding the government to account is absolutely essential. And I think it's great credit to Labour's team and Ed and Rachel and the team generally that they are putting them really on the spot now, particularly this week, on climate action. So we need UK leadership. I think there's two other things I'd like to highlight. One is that we are not on track to net zero. The government's target of net zero is admirable. Green Alliance's net zero policy tracker, plug for it here, there's some on the table there, shows that the actions that have been taken, the policies adopted and the spending commitments adopted since the general election get us less than a quarter of the way to where we need to be. So there's an awful lot of action that's missing in terms of the domestic agenda, and I'm sure that we will talk a bit more about the international agenda, which is of course essential to COP. The other thing is the COP26, 24 working days away, it's not very long, is just one, and it's the start of a year of the UK presidency, but it's also the start of what must be a decade of action. So in a way, whatever happens at COP26, we can't make it the last chance. It's got to be a building block for moving forward and deepening action on climate, but also, as Carlisle said at the SERA rally just now, on nature as well, and seeing those two crises as two sides of the same coin. We need action on nature, we need action on climate, and we've got 24 days to get COP right, but then we've got to really carry on working for the next decade as well.
I think the first one's in Birmingham, and he's also chair of Labour students at Nottingham University. And I think that action from the school strikers and all of that action that happened a couple of years ago really helped put things on the agenda and move the dial. And so, as we know, I mean, you know, the youngest generation are those that are going to experience this the most, and they're our future. And it's, you know, and no wonder there is a real concern that not enough is being done. So pass over to Alice for her thoughts on this.
So most of you won't know who I am, and with good reason. I'm only 20 now. That means in 10 years I'll be 30. At 30, my mum sang in a new generation from her terrace flat as 18 years of Tory rule ended and Labour took power. I don't have 10 years to wait. In 10 years' time, without climate action now, we'll be at the point of irreversible climate change. And I, for one, can say I'm terrified. I know friends who were told to dream big. We were told we were the generation of potential. But as we've gone from crisis to crisis as a generation, from austerity to COVID and now to climate, our horizons have shrunk. What we dream of is the simple things in life. We want to be able to take our kids to the beach and see the white cliffs of Dover. We want to show them the beauty and biodiversity of our planet. We don't dream big anymore. We dream for what generations before us have already fought for. We need you to stand with us, both as a movement and as a Labour Party. We don't have 10 years to wait. It's enough time has passed. We need a Labour government, not even in 2 years. We need a Labour government as soon as possible. We need you to fight, because I'm scared. I have friends who don't expect to see past 20 years' time because of the crisis that is happening. We are scared. There's water wars. There's food crisis on the way. We are scared as a generation. Look at your children. You don't want them to feel the same fear as we do now. We have lost hope, and we need the Labour Party to give it back to us. We need the Labour Party. Labour Party not just to win, but win back our planet and win back our future. And we need that as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, for reminding us why we are here and why we are doing this and what we are trying to do. Thank you so much for that. And now we're hearing from Katie White, and she's at WWF, and we'll talk about the international perspectives as well.
Thank you, Jake, and thank you, Alice. I think you really have reminded us all why we're here tonight. And to be honest, the science, as we all know, is absolutely terrifying. And I think if we all, stop and think where we are now, and when we passed the Climate Change Act, and Ed was obviously involved in that in 2008, we looked at reducing emissions at 3% a year, and that would have helped us get on the right track. We now need to be doing about 7% every year because we didn't step up and have that action. We can't continue like that, and we know we can't continue. And we do, as Sean said, we've got this opportunity, and it is a big opportunity. But if we step up now, it'll set the trajectory for the next decade to make sure that we do tackle that climate and nature crisis, as we said. There's two sides of the same coin. And I think Ed said in a meeting room, this is a numbers game wrapped up in politics, and he's very true. We need to keep that 1.5 breach point alive. And so there's three things that we're calling for at WWF. One is we need to make sure we have integrity. It's really good having these numbers and commitments, and the UK numbers are pretty good, but the integrity is only there when those plans are in place. And that goes for businesses as well. We're getting businesses coming to us left, right, centre, and some of their plans are really, really good. They're really stuck. You know, there are some business leaders who are trailblazers. There are others that, to be honest, I can't believe someone's pressed send on the email. Shall we? So we'd like to see that all of those transition plans are not voluntary, they're mandatory, and they are aligned with the science. We'd also like to see that when the government comes forward with that CSR, and we see in the next few weeks that the Chancellor comes forward, we'd like to see a net zero test. And we know that the Labour government has said they would do a net zero test going forward. So I hope that's going to be a commitment they stick with. And the last thing is around, in net zero, you have to do every single sector. We've done some sectors, we've started off, we're moving forward, we're seeing movement, but there are some sectors we haven't even started on, and we don't get to skip any. So we're going to be looking at that food sector, which is the heart of climate and nature, and making sure that every single sector plays its part, and we've all got a role in that. So I look forward to working with you all in the next 24 days, but also in that crucial decade ahead, because this is our time, this is our moment, we do have to step up.
I've always half introduced Ed already, so I probably don't need to do it again. But actually, people may.
Still experts and Ed Miliband.
I'll never forget this. But you were at Copenhagen, weren't you? UK representative, and you know it from first hand. And so, you've got some insights from that. What do we need ahead?
Okay. Well, look, it's great to be here, and I want to start by thanking SERA. It's a fantastic organisation. If you're not a member, you've all got to join. Let me just say one other thing, which is Jake Sumner does an incredibly good job at SERA. Jake, you have been flying the flag for a long time at SERA, and I think you deserve a big round of applause for this audience. I also want to recognise my colleague, the excellent Shadow DEFRA Secretary Luke Pollard, who is with us. Let's hear it for Luke. It is very much a team operation. I've got a couple of hours speech, I think, that I want to deliver. Let me say something national, something global, and something about you, all of you, and all of us. I spoke in on Sunday. There was the person who seconded one of the motions had this phrase, and the future we build. Like, the world is going far too slowly, Britain is going far, far too slowly. I think that's incredibly important. But the other thing is there is also a really positive vision of a better society. And we in this room are not just disaster people. We are the pro better. We are about good jobs for people. The future we can build together. The second thing is just about the global thing. As anecdotes, I think in the briefing that I got. I could. I won't, it's before the watershed, so I'm not going to tell you. And it's not actually about me in Copenhagen, it's about Gordon Brown. And it's a sort of comparison with the current incumbent. Basically that summit went really badly, as you may know, but there was something called the Copenhagen Accord, rescued from the ashes of that summit, which formed the basis of Paris and later action. And that was Gordon Brown doing the hard yards, taking over the chair when the Danes had sort of disappeared in the middle of the night, as Katie will remember. So we got a real misfortune, put it mildly, to have Boris Johnson in charge of this summit, because there's no chance of him doing that. But the thing I would say is we all have a responsibility, and I know my responsibility in these next 24 days or whatever it is, to really hold the government's feet to the fire on this, because we are way off where we need to be for Glasgow. We are way off where we need to be. I started talking about gigatons earlier on today, and somebody left the room, so I'm not going to try that again. I said he had a train to catch. I keep it happens to me a lot. But the thing I would say is, what needs to happen, and Katie put it very well, we need to finally deliver on the bloody $100 billion of climate finance promise in Copenhagen. We need to vaccinate the world, because the idea that we're saying to all these countries, come with us, vulnerable countries, come with us in relation to the climate disaster, but only 2% of your populations are vaccinated, which is the biggest act of not only morally terrible, but also self-harm on our part you could possibly imagine. We've got to put pressure. We've got to put pressure on all of the big emitters. No dodgy trade deals with Australia saying you can drop your temperature, but it also includes China. And we've got to deliver a green recovery at home, because actually the power of our example is really important. Last thing I just want to say is this, which is all about all of you. Politicians won't do this on their own. Politicians won't do this on their own. I mean, you've got to really push us. We want to do the right thing, but there are always lots of pressures, and there are always 1,000 reasons why people say, "Oh, can we really?" The countervailing forces of civil society are incredibly important, because we are up against big vested interests. We are up against big, and let me just sort of say this, because I think it's really important to understand this. Some of the fossil fuel companies that are running the fossil fuel companies, they have children, they have grandchildren, they worry about the climate disaster too. I've talked to them, but they also have shareholders who are saying we want to carry on doing things as we are. And we're the countervailing force that says, no, we can't carry on as we are. And this won't be won. I genuinely believe this won't be won by politicians on their own. Definitely not. This will be won by civil society together. Last thing I'll say is this, which is, however difficult this is, however troubling, daunting, worrying it is, I think we have an opportunity to say to people, look, we are the people with a vision of a better world. And if you're the people who have the vision of the better world, you can win. I genuinely believe that. And actually, it's a really important thing about the British public, which is where I will end, which is the public are on our side on this. The public are on our side on this. I was talking to these journalists in the Financial Times earlier on, they were saying, well, aren't the public skeptical? Aren't they saying oh, that's enough? And so I genuinely don't believe that. I think the public get this. They want it to be fair, but they know this is emergency. They see it around to act. And they want us to be consistent and do what we say and all of that, but they want us to act. So, and it will, you should keep fighting the good fight. And remember, we are right. We are right about this, and we're going to keep fighting. Thank you very much.
Everyone for coming tonight. There's plenty of drinks over there, so please take one. But also, let's introduce ourselves to each other, and let's, create that movement. And let's try and inspire ourselves so that actually ends.